Welcome to HCA Talks Health. I'm Zina Leroux, and today I'm talking to Candace Vermaak. So Candace is a biokineticist with a PhD in sports science, and she's also currently a lecturer at Stellenbosch University in the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. And Candace is also a qualified health coach. She graduated from HCA, and she's the owner of Balanced4Life Health Coaching in South Africa. A very warm welcome, Candace. It's really lovely to have you on the show today.
Oh, thanks, Zina. It's lovely to be here.
So, Candace, in what year did you graduate from HCA?
September 2023, or officially October.
Okay, so you've been it's almost a year now that you've been working as a health coach, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your interest in health and wellness. Obviously, when we look at all the different areas that you are working in as a biokineticist, as a lecturer, as a health coach, obviously you're interested in health and wellness. So where did it all start for you?
Yeah, I absolutely love health and wellness. It's really a true passion of mine, and it's been that for the past 12 years. So that's it's probably longer now, where it started. But basically, it was a personal journey for me that started in 2007. I faced a series of health challenges in that year. And I think, if I remember correctly, I was put on antibiotics 8 to 9 times in that year for upper respiratory tract infections, bronchitis, those type of things, laryngitis, pharyngitis, and no doctor just bothered to look further into why am I almost every single month or every 6 weeks being put on antibiotics. And eventually my boyfriend at that time, who's now my husband, we went to visit his father in the Northern Cape, and I actually got quite sick again. And I needed antibiotics, according to the doctor there. They put me on and it didn't work.
Ooh.
So then I actually got resistant to the drug that's supposed to save my life. But anyway, so I got quite sick. I'm obviously fine in the end, and here I am today. But that just led me to go on my own personal journey, just to be like, there has to be something else. I'm trusting these doctors, and they're supposed to know and have my best interest at heart. And I just didn't feel that is what was happening, because I've been going through this and nobody bothered to see me more than 10 minutes in their practice just to find out what is going on, what is the underlying cause. So in 2008, in June, I left for Belgium to do my master's in adapted physical activity. And there we were lectured by a lot of medical doctors and physiotherapists. And I eventually I remember it so clearly, in a COPD, so chronic obstructive pulmonary disease lecture. And I thought, oh, that's what I have all these symptoms. Then you start self-diagnosing, which is, if you're in the medical profession, something that you do a lot, where you sit in psychology and you're like, I have this, I'm bipolar or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was busy self-diagnosing. But anyway, the lecture was amazing, and he actually asked me to come to the hospital where he worked, and he did a few tests on me, actually just to try and help me. I explained everything to him, and although he misdiagnosed me, he was willing to help, and at least moved me forward. So I got diagnosed with exercise-induced asthma, and they put me on a cortisone pump for a long time. So again, it masked the symptoms that I had. So it did improve my quality of life a little bit. I could start exercising again without getting sick, because I'm absolutely passionate about physical activity, movement, and exercise. So that was a big step for me. But my journey really shifted there, because I picked up about 10 Ks in that 1 year, which is a lot. Yeah. So, and I'm not very tall, so you could definitely see the 10 Ks. Yeah, and I could start exercising again, but I also started just naturally changing my diet and lifestyle. I never lived 100% pure, anything like that. I would have takeaways, and I love chocolate, but we also lived healthily. I grew up in a family where, there was always salad, and there's always vegetables and protein and starches and stuff, but it was a mix and match between takeaways and that, and all sorts of other stuff. But anyway, so I just started cleaning naturally my diet just to help me shed some of the weight. So the exercise actually prompted me to want to start eating better as well. Yeah, I actually just remembered that now.
So when
Anyway,
you were
yeah.
saying that you didn't get the proper attention or the proper support that you needed
Mm,
back then from doctors, and you really felt like there was something else. There was something else was going on. There's a different approach to take when
yeah.
it comes to what you're experiencing and the symptoms that you're experiencing. So you mentioned that you cleaned up your diet. You've been moving ever since. I mean,
Mm.
you didn't start moving then. You've always
No,
been moving, right?
yes.
So what else did you do? What was that something else that you've discovered? What were the things that really supported you? Was it mainly diet and movement?
Yeah, pretty much
Mm,
during that phase. Those were the main things that supported me. And if I must look back now, probably connection as well as we were a bunch of girls and guys doing our masters together, and we came across the world. We're 40 people that came from across the world to do this masters.
mm,
So, we were forced into these forced friendships and relationships, and we really got really close,
mm,
but we had similar interests. And because it is an adapted physical activity, it is a movement, we started running together, we started gymming together, cooking together, and all of that. So I think that community was
mm,
also really supportive to help me through that journey, because of a year of not exercising, gaining so much weight, your confidence was not quite where it was beforehand. And it was just very supportive and motivating to continue. And, when one didn't feel like doing it, be like, no, let's go. We're going for a 10K run. And then we'll go do a gym class and, being in the same boat together. So I think it was also having that support in that community
yeah.
during that phase of my life.
And I think it's often
Mm.
when we lose our health that we create a new definition of what health is and how important it is in
Mm.
our lives. So what does health mean to you, and what is your definition of health?
Ooh, I think the definition of health has been so ingrained in me, lecturing in it and being an academic.
Mm,
Um, but to me, it's more than just the textbook definition of being, having the absence of a disease or a chronic condition, and it's really about being able to do what I love, but also have to do with vigor and vitality. I
mm,
think that is what health is to
mm.
me, is to be able to enjoy life. And if I feel like doing a cartwheel, that I'm able to do a cartwheel,
Yes, yes.
and wrestle with my kids and yeah, enjoy life and have energy to do the things that I absolutely love doing,
Oh,
running in the
yes.
mountains and, yeah, I think that's more what health is for me. So it's not just about being free from a disease, but it's having a body that has vitality and strength to do the things that I love.
Mm. It's
Yeah,
having
but
that
also the things that
mobility.
I have to do. There are
Yes,
certain
of
things we just
course.
have to do. And it's just easier to do those things if you have energy, if you have vitality.
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
Mm.
So it's really about um, yeah, prepping your body or having a body that is functional and mobile to,
Yes.
yes, do the things that you have to, but also the things that you absolutely love. Um,
Yes.
to put that smile on your face and to have that vigor
Yeah.
and vitality and to fully enjoy life. Um,
Mm.
as much as possible. I love that. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great definition. So you mentioned that you're not going to refer to the textbook definition of what health means and what you're typically teaching at the University of Stellenbosch. So tell me more about your role as a lecturer. What are the things that you love to teach? What are the type of modules that you enjoy most?
Mm. Okay. Yeah, so I'm a lecturer and I really do love educating and teaching people. So it's one of my favorite parts of being at the university. I basically teach mainly in all different types of disabilities,
Hmm.
for undergraduate and postgraduate and children with disabilities. But with that comes all the chronic conditions, secondary and associated conditions. So anything from hypertension, diabetes, to pressure sores, to bladder infections and things like that, and how to manage it. but mainly how we use exercise and physical activity to actually manage those things and even prevent that. So, and I think that's what I'm mainly so passionate about, is the fact how we can use exercise and physical activity to improve people's quality of life.
Oh, yes.
How we can actually help them stay free of a lot of stuff. Exercise is really one of the most inexpensive things that we can do for our health. It has a variety of benefits, as we know. And I think that's the part that I love most. And then, of course, I love my health and wellness module, which I also do. And I do therapeutic recreation. So how do we use things that people enjoy, which ties in quite nicely actually with the health coaching? How do we use things that people enjoy to rehabilitate them? Because not everybody likes to exercise. Not everybody wants to go to a gym or be in a facility where we are surrounded by gym equipment and then to rehab in that way. So therapeutic recreation looks at alternative ways. So if somebody did woodwork and, for example, they got a hip fracture, is how do we use that woodwork? How do we use that as an activity to rehabilitate that hip, regain that person's balance and all of those things? Yeah. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the health and wellness module, which I absolutely also love. I really like everything that I teach, but because I get to impart the importance of self-care to the students in that module, I actually get to share about my life and journey to them as well, and just open their eyes to alternative methods. We are in the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, so they get a lot of indoctrination with that. There's only one way and there's only one solution, and it's only pharmaceuticals and there's only this way and this way, that's efficient and effective. So in that module, I get to share alternatives, which I don't always get to share. Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's amazing. So it's really finding ways and being creative around helping people to incorporate more movement into their lives, because there are so many benefits. Can you remind us of some of the benefits? Maybe some of our listeners don't know what all the benefits are of physical exercise.
There's so many, but obviously improved strength, energy, vitality. And if you go specifically into strength training, you can improve your basal metabolic rate if we can maintain your lean muscle mass, which is of course fantastic for weight loss. Exercise is also great for weight loss and managing stress, preventing weight gain. Good mental health. You get the rush of endorphins, which just makes you feel really good for that day. Improved sleep, improved appetite if you struggle to eat. And also, of course, if you start regularly exercising, you have an improved appetite to eat better foods or foods that better serve you. Smoking cessation, all of those things. It prompts all of those. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I didn't realize the improved appetite. So you want to choose better foods automatically because you don't want to feel sluggish when you're training, or so is it related to that? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so how do you classify exercise, or what, is it? Like you said, you don't necessarily have to go to the gym. It's not necessarily about getting your heart rate up to a certain beat per minute, or what? How do you classify it? What counts as movement or exercise?
Movement. Okay, so there's pretty much physical activities are our umbrella term. Okay, so that's the umbrella term. And under physical activity, there's exercise, there's daily activities that we do, leisure time activities, unstructured activities, and all of that. So physical activity is basically just any bodily movement that results in energy expenditure. Okay. And then we have physical activity, and it's got different levels. They sort of measure them in METs, so 0 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 10. If I remember those categories correctly now. Or you've got mild, moderate, or intense, or moderate to vigorous, low intensity, moderate intensity, vigorous intensity. So you can go according to that, and you can work according to heart rate. But so that's just sort of physical activity. Now, exercise is just one component. The thing with exercise, it needs structure. So in order to be called exercise, you need structure and a format to call it actually exercise. Otherwise, it can be leisure time, physical activity, daily chores, or anything else. So that's just the thing about exercise, is that it needs that structure. So a certain amount of exercises, sets, reps, yeah, and your weight and your intensity. So we work according to like a fit principle, yeah,
Okay.
in order to classify it as that.
So even if someone doesn't necessarily have that set structure, but it's maybe more a leisurely activity, or they're incorporating movements, or they're taking a walk on the beach, that it doesn't
Yes.
count as exercise, or does it? No.
Well, it can be cardiovascular exercise
Okay.
because there is a certain structure to walking, for example. We can classify it as cardiovascular exercise because there will be time, speed, duration, all of that will be part of
Okay.
that.
All
Yeah.
right.
But
Okay.
typically, yeah, it is a little bit more structured. And of course, you can classify exercise into cardiovascular, strength, power, and
Yes.
flexibility as well.
Okay. Yes. So there's
Mm.
lots of options. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to just be going to the gym, or running a trail run as you do. I know you love
Yeah.
to run your trails. So tell us a little bit more about your own journey. I think it's always interesting when you are educated on all the principles, you know exactly what it is that you should be doing, but what do you actually take into your own life? And what are the principles and the
Mm.
guidelines that you use in your own life? So, can you maybe share with us and with our listeners, what are the things that you truly believe in your own life, and maybe what a day or a week looks like in the life of Candace Vermaak,
Yeah.
talking us through the things that you really believe in?
Yeah, so I mean, I absolutely love what I do. I love being a biokineticist and I love the human body. Although I don't see so many clients in a biokineticist capacity, I still love the discipline and I love the health coaching and pairing that together. I think it really marries very well in terms of me looking after my own self. But I know there's one thing that I do not want to do again, and that is get unfit.
Oh no, I hear you.
Since Belgium, since I started getting fit again, I haven't had days or opportunity or years where I got unfit again.
Yeah.
So exercise has really taken me through some hard times and has been one of the saving grace in my life in managing stress, in just, coping with being a mom and being a mom of 3 kids. It's really one of those things that I don't think I can live without.
Mm.
Well, you could probably, but I don't want to live without it.
No.
Um, my body has been so conditioned, and this took years of training. Like I would go outside as part of my morning routine, and I'd feel the crisp, cold air on my body, and immediately my body wants to move. So it has been so automated that I just actually want to start running because my body knows what it's going to get. It
Mm.
knows that it's going to get that rush of endorphins and those feel-good hormones, and I'm just going to feel so good after that. And then I'm
Mm.
set up for the day.
Yeah.
So that is almost every day that I exercise,
Yeah.
almost. I would say between 5 to 7 days, 6 days a week, most of the time. I'm trying to incorporate more rest days just because I started upping my training again in terms of my strength training. And I feel that I'm not as strong when I need to be in certain sessions. So I only do those twice a week now.
Okay.
So just so that I can maximize on those training days. But it's hard for me not to exercise
Yeah.
on
But
a
so are
on a
you saying
day.
that you're doing about 2 strength sessions, and for the rest you're going into the mountains, you're jogging, you're running?
Yes, that
Okay.
and I do Pilates. So I do my other strength training and flexibility and mobility training through Pilates. I would say running 2 to 3 times a week, Pilates 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the weather and the wind here in Cape Town,
Yeah.
and then strength training twice a week. Yeah, so
Fantastic.
that's my
Yeah.
current routine at the moment.
Lovely.
Yeah, but I mean, I wake up, not lately, but usually around 5 to 5:30 in the winter. It's more like 6 at the moment. It's a little bit harder when the sun is not up,
It is. Yeah.
but I usually try and wake up between 5 and 5:30. I open up my curtains, try and get some sunlight, fresh air into my home. I pour myself a big glass of water with some essential oils that I drink every morning. I haven't stopped. There hasn't been a day where I haven't actually done that. And they just literally just help invigorate and get me ready for the day. I get outside, I do a few breaths. Nothing particular, depends what I feel like on the day. I'll just do a few breaths. just get some cold, fresh air. And in the summer and spring and autumn, when the sun is up, I try and get some blue rays onto my skin and just get my natural cortisol levels up, the sunlight stimulating my cortisol levels, just to set my circadian rhythm, help to improve that. And that is pretty much every morning what I try and do. That's how I start. And then I would either go into exercise, or I will do some oil pulling, just for oral health as well. And yeah, I think that is typically my morning. I have a coffee with my husband, usually, depending on when I exercise. We just sit on the couch just for 10-20 minutes and just breathe and just try and relax before the day starts. It's usually a rush and it's usually quite busy. So we just try and not, start the day off like that. And we just connect a little bit, because we're going to lose each other somewhere during the day. So we just try and connect that way as well. And that's just something we've been doing for many years. And it's just something that I really enjoy doing. And I think that's why I just love that cup of coffee, because I have that association with that. Yeah, so those are just typically my mornings. And then I usually have a breakfast on the go. I seldom have a sit-down breakfast at home, just because I do a few things before and I try and exercise before. So that will be smoothies, smoothie bowls. I will make eggs and shakshuka. That's my new favorite breakfast. And then, lunch is always leftovers, or most of the time. I try and make enough the night before, just so that it's easy to pack for the next day. And that will just try and include anything from quinoa or rice or something like that, with protein and salad and vegetables. And then dinner is really, for me, family time, bringing us all together and trying to include a little bit more diversity into my kids, into their bodies as well. That's usually when we bring in a little bit more diversity. Yeah, so it's quite structured, routine. Yeah, but we need that because it gets quite busy.
Yeah. But what I love about what you're saying and what you're sharing with us here is that there's so many different elements. It's not just the food, it's not just your nutrition. It's the nutrition, yes, it's important, but also the movement, getting outdoors, getting that sunlight first thing in the morning, doing some breath exercises, and then also the connection. That's so important with your husband and your family. And all of these elements are so important and play a role in helping you to thrive and to have that vigor and vitality that you've touched on earlier. And I guess that this is maybe where the link to health coaching might also come in, and why you might be passionate. I mean, you're going to have to tell me whether that is the case. But when it comes to health coaching, it's really about looking at the bigger picture. It's not just focusing on one area, but looking at what could we do and how can we improve someone's life, looking at all these different elements. So tell me more about that. What drew you to health coaching?
Well, it was definitely my own personal journey. And then just making small changes in my own life, like getting to know how to heal my body without going to doctors, what to do, how to recognize, when to rest, and all of that. And I also started, like, every year I would take something. For example, the 1 year I would take all my pots and pans and I would get rid of anything with Teflon or whatever. And I transitioned into stainless steel for everything.
Wow.
So the whole year, that's my goal for that one. And so, because it costs a lot of money to do this. So, whenever I could save up and have money, I would buy the one and then the other one and so forth. And was just actually to simplify as well. We don't need so many things. Hey. And then the 1 year, it was to clean out all chemicals in my home. So there's no more chemicals in my home. It's just all natural cleaning products. And then it was the bedding, and then it was the pillows and the inners. So every year I took something like that and I implemented it. So not all at once. I got rid of all the plastics in my home. So now I just have glass jars and glass bowls. Yes, they've got plastic lids, but it doesn't touch the food. as much. And if it does, it's really not the end of the world either. I had to make peace with that as well. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. No, it doesn't have to be. And if my kids drink out of a plastic cup, it's okay.
Fine.
It's fine. So it was taking all these things. So nutrition, slowly, and just, cleaning it up and doing a lot of webinars, listening to a lot, and a lot of workshops and things like that. So I had a lot of knowledge, and, people asked me a lot for advice. Lots of friends would ask me for advice. What do I do? Are my kids sick? What do I do? And then I just felt like, I'm giving them all of this advice, technically just from personal experience, and I want to legitimize my advice. So I started researching and looking for avenues or career paths that I could actually study that will help me, do this in a legit way, if I can put it that way, or with credibility,
Yes, of course.
And then I decided to do health coaching. I looked at nutrition and dietetics and all of this stuff, but nowhere that I find that you actually walk a journey. And I think that's the big difference for me. One of my good friends, they're very, very clean. They're much more extreme than we are. And she's like, why are you doing this? What are you going to do with health coaching? Why don't you do nutrition or something like that? And you can do diet plans and things like that and tell people what to eat and not to eat. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to walk a journey with people, because I realized that with me, the doctors, all they did was give me this stuff. Nobody walked a journey with me. Nobody helped me through this. And I realized that that is one of the ways, or the only way, I think, you can really bring about change, or quicker. Let's say change quicker, and not 12 years. I don't want it to take people 12 years to get where I am or where they want to be, and health coaching can facilitate that process and just walk. So for me, it was about the journey, and that's why I chose health coaching to do that, is to walk that journey and help. And the other thing is for people to become independent. I don't want people to be dependent on stuff. I don't want people to be dependent on me in the end, maybe for a little bit, but not in the end, until they know and they can take ownership of their own health and wellness. I think that's my main thing, is for people to have independence and to take ownership of their own health and wellness, and being at a place where they can actually do that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I love the idea of going on a journey with someone. And that's exactly what you felt. There was a gap. There's a big gap in the market. You had that desire for someone to support you in that way, but it just wasn't available at that time. So going on that journey, really supporting them in a more comprehensive way, and helping them to find their own way. Like you said, becoming independent and finding a way that works for them, that they can sustain for the rest of time.
Exactly. And I mean, there's so many facets to health, as I've learned across the journey. And as you also pointed out now, in terms of there's breath work, there's a little bit of cold exposure, there's all of these things. And for people to go and read up about all of this stuff, it gets so overwhelming, and there's so much information out there, and just being able to package it for someone and have them try and see what is best for them. Because what works for me will not necessarily work for everyone else. And I think that's what people also need to understand.
And I do think that it's quite a common occurrence for people to feel overwhelmed when they want to change their health, when they want to go on a health journey. But if, like you said, I love the approach that you took, where this year I'm going to focus on getting rid of the Teflon and only getting stainless steel. Next year I'm going to focus on something else. So take it step by step. You don't have to fix everything immediately. Yes, it might feel overwhelming to know that my whole house is full of chemicals. Where do I even start? So I'm just never going to start. It's just too overwhelming.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I think that the journey or the process of health coaching is quite helpful with, where we can help a client to break down the steps that they need to take. One small action. What is one small step that you can take this week or this year to start improving your journey or your health journey?
So if I think back now, I'm like, shucks. So I've done actually a lot. You don't always think so, but if you reflect back, it's like, but it doesn't. I think the ultimate message here, that it doesn't have to take people that long. They can choose that way as well, but to be informed and know what are the harmful things, and then for them to choose which one they have capacity for.
Yes, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, the education needs to take place, and that's also something that a health coach does, of course, is to educate and to share the knowledge with people, but then eventually really choosing what are the things that are possible for me to do in this moment. Okay, so thank you so much, Candace. That's fantastic. Is there anything else that you maybe want to leave our listeners with? Anyone maybe listening, thinking that they're not in a good spot currently, where can they start? Any last messages that you maybe want to leave with our listeners?
I think we get so overwhelmed and paralyzed, with everything that we might need to do. And I think it's just really about starting where you are at, making small changes within your capacity, and not to feel overwhelmed by the choices that you make, so that you can make it sustainable. And it's really about choosing something that works for you, whether you start with body products, or your skincare products, or some of your clothes or underwear, or your bedding, or whatever it is that you can start with, or your nutrition, drinking an extra glass of water. It can be tiny, but all of these little changes eventually accrue and add up to make a massive difference over a year, over 12 years, and I think most importantly, it's to find something that you enjoy doing, whether it's exercise, just to help manage stress, because stress doesn't go away. And I think that's one of the biggest things that has really helped me, is to find something that I can hold on to, that gets me through everything. If I'm depressed, if I'm low mood, if I'm, tired, or like overwhelmed, or whatever it is, exercise is my thing. Like, that is what works for me on so many levels. So it's finding that. And ice baths, I absolutely now love ice baths. They make me resilient. I am addicted, and it works so well for me. So it's just about finding that thing that works for you. And it can be as simple just as gratitude. Having these little practices in your life can make the world of difference, just to your mental and your physical health and the state of your body. And gratitude costs nothing. It takes a minute or two to look out your window, to be grateful for the sunrise, or for the clothes on your body, whatever it is, or your water that you're drinking. So it's just finding one or two things that really support you in terms of self-care. I think that makes a big difference.
And many of these lifestyle interventions don't cost a thing. And those are the things that could really make a huge difference in our lives. But I like the idea of starting small, but finding the things that you really enjoy. Because if you do enjoy it, chances are that you're going to follow through, and that you're going to even look forward to incorporating it, compared to it being a chore. Like, I don't want to go to the gym. Compared to, you maybe really love the dance class, or running in the mountains, or whatever it is for you. So finding something that you really enjoy and that puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, exactly. And then 12 years down the line, you wake up and you're like, I'm still doing this because I love it. And that's what it needs to be. It needs to be sustainable. You need to be able to do it for life. So you need to, this journey, you need to actually really like, or in my case, love the journey.
Yes, because it adds up. All these small steps, it adds up eventually to
I love it.
A thriving life. So thank you, Candace. It really seems like you do live and breathe health. And you really are a living example of how making changes and incorporating healthy habits into our lives could really lead to a thriving life, and you really enjoy and getting the most from your life. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If you have a passion for health and wellness, and you would like to make a difference in the lives of others and discover a new rewarding career in health and wellbeing coaching, visit www.healthcoachesacademy.com to find out more.